Hi everyone, my name's Ambar and I'm a student at the Royal Roads University in Victoria, British Columbia in Canada. And for my last course, which is in contemporary issues in communication, a course which is taught by Professor Dr. Wendy Leeds Hurwitz, I wrote a report on the online discursive analysis of Indian masculinity on Reddit.com. So check out what this report I wrote on was all about, and I'm going to speak a bit on it, so see you there. So my research question for the paper that I wrote was, quote, what are North American Reddit users' opinion on the 21st century Indian male immigrants with regard to their value in the dating market of North America? So what's Reddit? Reddit is a social media, social news aggregation, web content rating and discussion website. These unique features, combined with the Redditor's ability to remain anonymous, make Reddit a website, a social media website, unlike any other. So for the data collection and analysis, I used a website called www.searchreddit.com, and this website aggregates and retrieves relevant simple search queries from Reddit. The keywords that I used as my search query were Indian plus men plus dating. In all, I collected 6 comments from various forums of Reddit, they are called subreddit, to analyze how the users are expressing their opinion on Indian masculinity in the North American dating context. And rather unsurprisingly for an anonymous forum, Redditors' views on Indian masculinity were rather bleak and depressing. So one user on subreddit r_asktrp said, and I quote, "The Indian immigrant guys, they do poorly because of their foreign accents and bad body odor, so we won't even focus on them. Even then, with the Indian guys I have met who were raised here, they weren't any better. Many of them come off as very geeky, strange, socially awkward, and I almost feel like Asperger's is a huge issue to that community." So there were other comments which were similar to the ones that we showed you before. It is the historically patriarchal culture of India that is seen as the root cause behind Indian male chauvinism and entitlement. In other words, Indian masculinity is the reflection of traditional Indian patriarchy. Furthermore, through their commentary, Redditors attempt to contradistinguish Indian culture from the Western culture. This is not a new phenomenon. Journalist Nash Jenkins of The Atlantic quotes media psychologist Sri Vidya Ramasubramaniam who wrote, and I quote, "Indianness is predicated upon a sense of Occidental superiority complicit with a sort of cultural imperialism. By establishing Indian peoples as inferior and incompetent, who needs to be civilized," unquote. Indian male, like the Indian culture, is thus the active other in the Reddit discourse. Derwin defines othering as the notion that refers to, quote, "differentiating discourses that lead to moral and political judgment of superiority and inferiority between us and them and within groups," unquote. My classmate Anne-Sophie cited a paper from scholars Hua, Hanford, and Young, whereby she states that the normative practice within social science to categorize people into we and the others does not take into account the concepts such as acculturation and complex relationships between individuals. So to conclude, Redditors commit the error of painting Indian masculinity and the Indian culture by extension through a mainly Western lens. Surprisingly, this particular view of Indian masculinity has remained static since the British colonial period of the late 19th and early 20th century, despite Indians migrating en masse to the global West in the interim period. This small study is dedicated to any reader who is interested in doing a critical online discourse analysis pertaining to migration. Reddit is one of the social media websites that has remained understudied, but poses significant potential for future research studies within intercultural communication and beyond. I hope this paper acts as a starting point in analyzing the cultural prejudices online users harbor behind the veil of anonymity, echoing what Oscar Wilde once famously wrote, and I quote, "Give a man a mask and he will show his true face." Thanks for watching.